Hello everyone, this is going to be a video on what's the best type of lighter for everyday carry, so what you'd have on you every day, and I've got a selection of different types of lighters here because it's obviously going to vary a bit depending on what you want to use a lighter for. So I've got a few different categories of lighters. At the top left here we have oil lighters or petrol lighters, liquid fuel lighters, lighters that work when you fill up the insides of them with a flammable material. It then soaks into the lighter and ignites. So you've got a Zippo on the left there. That's a typical example of a oil lighter, liquid fuel lighter. In the middle we have a Zippo and a Bic. Sorry, not a Zippo and a Bic, a Clipper and a Bic. And they are simple butane gas lighters. Both of these are the simple strike wheel type, not piezoelectric. And you have a gas release button that releases the gas. The strike wheel with the flint ignites the fuel. On the right we have jet lighters, sometimes called torch lighters. They have a few names. I think super fuel lighter is another name they're given, and they work by having a higher pressure jet of butane gas compared to the Zippos and the Bics, which obviously creates a jet flame rather than a sort of wider, softer flame. At the bottom we've got an electric lighter. Now, if you just wanted an everyday carry lighter for cigarettes, an electric one is probably the best. You charge it up via USB at the bottom, mini USB, micro USB, that sort of thing, and you press the button and it creates an electric beam like so. Now that is easily hot enough for lighting cigarettes, and one of the big problems with these is you can't really use them as a utility lighter. Some companies advertise the fact you can, but you can't really get anything bigger than a cigarette in there. A safety feature on these, which is a bit annoying if you want it for something else other than cigarettes, is when the lid's closed it can't light. And that's good though, because you can't set off in your pocket. These hold quite a lot of charge. You wouldn't need to charge them all that frequently. So if you're just using a lighter for cigarettes, this would probably be your best everyday carry lighter. Now, what I'm going to suggest is with liquid fuel lighters, this one at the top here is a peanut lighter. And when you open it, you can see that there's an O-ring here. And that O-ring prevents the fuel from escaping, so although it has no wind resistance, this is a great backup option because you can fuel it every couple of months if you need to, keep it on a keyring or somewhere, and you can have this as a backup to any of the other lighters. Right, so we've looked at these ones already, so let's just leave the ones remaining. So for a complete sort of liquid fuel lighter, I have two good options. We have the Zippo on the left, and we have an Imco on the right. This is the brass version of a Zippo, very famous lighter. Flick it open, strike the wheel, ignite it. Now the great thing about a Zippo is it's wind resistant. They're called windproof, they're not actually windproof, but they are wind resistant. This sort of shroud here gives it windproofing. As you can see, the air would need to blow from the top to put it out. Zippos are great. The only issue is, because of looser tolerance in Zippo lighters compared to some of the other liquid fuel lighters, they tend to dry out faster. So, although you could consider a Zippo, unless you're using it every day for lighting cigarettes and things, I wouldn't personally go with a Zippo simply because they're going to dry out when you need it. Now we have the Imco Junior 6600, which it will say on the bottom there if the camera focuses on it. The light's probably at a bad angle for it to focus. Imco Junior 6600, and this is a similar lighter to the Zippo, liquid fuel. It strikes on opening. It's also wind resistant. Again, you need to sort of blow it from the top to put it out, but it's a bit more practical than the Zippo in a lot of ways. One, because once you've lit it, there we go, you can pull the bottom section out and use it like a candle. So it blows out easier when it's like that because it doesn't have the windshield around it there. But the great thing about these is you can take that bit out separately. Has better fuel retention than Zippo because of this bit here, which keeps the fuel from escaping through the wick as easily as a Zippo. And you can store spare flints in the inside bit there. So it's like a Zippo but better in my opinion, these Imco lighters. You can't buy these new as per such, but you can get second-hand serviced ones online for about £20. Right, now we've got the standard butane lighters, and we have here a Bic and a Clipper. I personally prefer the Clipper, but lots of people swear by Bics. Both work in exactly the same way. Strike it, it lights. Button being depressed releases the gas. Striking it here lights it. Now, the Bics aren't refillable, but that means that they'd have very, very good fuel retention. So what a lot of people like to do is buy a sort of packet of these disposable Bics, and then they'll put each of the lighters in a different coat pocket or something. And then you've got one whenever you need it. So Bics are very good disposable lighters, much better than the cheap disposable lighters. I'm not a massive fan of Bics in the sense that they're not refillable, but if you want a good disposable lighter, Bics are the way to go. Now, what I like more about the Clippers than the Bics is there's a couple of things. Because they're refillable, you can refill them at the bottom there. They can pack pipes, as in smoking pipes, by you doing that with the bottom there. You can pull out the flint. That's going to be difficult to do in the camera's viewfinder, there we go. And you can use that in a survival scenario to strike without a lighter attached to it. But you can also use this for pushing in the ends of a rolly cigarette. So it's got all those features going for the Clipper. Another thing I like about the Clipper is that when you light it, if you turn it down this way, the flame gets bigger. That's a feature that's designed on these Clippers. It releases more flame when it's turned on its side. Again, I really like Clippers. They're probably one of my favourite lighter designs just because they're very cheap for how good quality they are. So, now we'll move on to the last set, the jet lighters. Now, jet lighters are really practical because one of the problems with these type of lighters, as good as they are, very little wind resistance, although it's doing quite well here. But yeah, it goes out. Compared to, say, the electric lighters, which are also wind resistant, just to show you because I didn't show you that earlier. You can use those when it's windy. These you can use when it's windy because of the shrouds they have on them. These you can't. Now, with jet lighters, how they work again, similar to a standard butane, but it's a torch flame. Now, these are great in the wind because, as sort of just said, they won't go out. However, people do complain that in cold temperatures these don't work easily. Now, there's a problem with all three of these lighters, and what that is that the buttons are exposed, so you can leak fuel when it's in your pocket. If it was in a position like that, you could come to use a lighter, no, it wouldn't light because you've run the fuel down from it being in a pocket where something's been pressing against it. Not a problem with these lighters because of the lids on them. Not a problem with this lighter because obviously it doesn't work when the lid's closed. So, if you want a jet lighter or a butane lighter that works like that, this is Ultimate Survival Technology's Floating Lighter. And it's great because it basically seals in its own little case, impact resistant case to an extent, but it floats if you drop it in water, so it's waterproof unlike all the other lighters. And that also stops you pressing the button in to get it to work when it's in your pocket. So again, we've got the incredibly hot jet flame that you can angle very precisely, and it works in the wind. So out of all of them, I think this would be a really good everyday carry lighter. As long as you're not going to be somewhere where it's incredibly cold, butane lighters are fine. This one you can't accidentally discharge in your pocket. You've got extra protection for it with all the case, and it's waterproof. If you just want one for cigarettes, as said, these electric lighters are great. And obviously if you did want to go down these route, there are these lighters as well, which I do like. And as said, the peanut lighter is a great backup keyring lighter, simply because of the O-ring there stopped most of the fuel evaporating, unlike those two, so it lasts much, much longer than the Zippo or the Imco.